make a move and the bunny gets it.
I said, put the bunny back in the box. Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box?
Psychically, I'm very well endowed.
I wanna know what you're thinking. There are some things you can't hide. I wanna know what you're feeling. Tell me what's on your mind.
Hey there, this is Cooper and Telepathic Bunny Comics. Welcome to the rabbit hole. This is Thursday night. This is the character Autopsy show. And tonight we are going to do my first villain. This was suggested last week. And I thought, hey, that's one I can definitely sink my teeth into. So, hold on. Got any comments over here? Wrangler, greetings, salutations and stuff. Hey, Wrangler. What's up, dude? Good to see you. Welcome to the show. All right. Let me see here. All right. Ooh, well, let's make the first cut. Okay, to call a Doom a villain would be to diminish what he is. Villain is like when you say villain, you're thinking of something that's kind of like petty, something that's like visceral or kind of like wanting to get theirs. Well, that wouldn't be an accurate description of what Doom is. Doom is he's got like a way bigger fish to fry than just mere villainy. Doom, if you say Doom, you're facing a extinction event. You're facing like the downfall of the earth, or the guy wants to rule and he thinks it's his right. And so if you see Doom, you're not just dealing with the villain, you're dealing with a super villain. Okay. In fact, that term super villain might have just been created specifically for Doom. So there are villains more popular, like the Joker is probably more popular, formidable. And when you talk about like tiers of villainy, Doom's always going to come in near the top. He's a threat, the likes which you just don't see very often. And he has been a very popular character for all these years since Kirby created the to in a lot of ways. Rogue's Gallery of Fantastic Four probably put Fantastic Four on the map. He is just that unique and distinctive. Anyway, so let's look into character history. Alrighty. Now, Doom didn't start out being something like he's not in royal lineage. Everything he got by its strength of force, force of his own will. And got a quote here: "Nothing can save you save for the enlightened rule of a single person who can make the hard choices. One who is above being bribed, being corrupted, who does not care about petty comforts that confound other men. Doom is above money. Doom is above desire. Doom is above all. And in his magnanimity, in his pity, and in his greatness, Doom will save you." That's from Emperor Doom. Now, in this show, we don't kind of go into all the storylines of all the permutations of a character. What we basically try to do here is distill it down to its bare essence. This is an autopsy, okay? We are pretty much trying to dissect this character, get at the core of what makes them who they are, and maybe apply it to writing our own characters. How would this benefit us writing other characters? We did it with Captain America, first episode, Punisher, second episode. So we kind of started with the true blue, dyed-in-the-wool hero, and then we got to the vigilante in the gray area, and this week we're getting the villain, true villain, and this week we're exploring true villainy. Now, according to that quote, the first thing you got to understand, and this happens with most villains, the best villains are this way, is that they don't know they're the villain. And Doom doesn't see himself as a villain. Doom sees himself as the savior of mankind. He believes that the only way mankind can go forward is if he is in charge of it. And everybody that gets in his way are just impeding his progress. And now, the event that really summed up Doom, that he kind of his Uncle Ben moment, was his mother, Cynthia, before he was born, lost a bet with Mephisto and was taken to hell. And so greater part of Doom's career so far has been to try to retrieve her. And it's caused him to delve into science and magic, which is a rare combination you see in comics. Usually you have a scientist that's like a Dr. Bruce Banner or Iron Man, who's more of an engineer. Or you have Doctor Strange, who is more into the magic. But Doom, he's got this really strange combination of science and magic. In that his mother was a witch, and so she got into the condition she was in because she made a deal with the wrong guy. Mephisto's kind of like the Marvel Universe's version of Satan. And so she gets dragged to the hell realm, and so Doom is determined to go get her. And so that causes him to not only create technology that helps him hop dimensions, but also he kind of like creates magic, or he studies magic so he can fight Mephisto when he gets there. And it's a really unique combination. You don't really see it. Doom is such a massive threat that even folks like Thanos are always keeping an eye out for him, right? Yeah. Yeah, Thanos is, he makes Thanos nervous. When you're talking about Doom, you're talking about somebody who is smart enough that Reed Richards will go to him for advice. And he's also knowledgeable enough in magic that Doctor Strange doesn't want to deal with him. And there was a arc called Children's Crusade where he was evidently tapped into a magical force that was so elemental that it drove Scarlet Witch crazy, and it's the thing that empowered her to try to end all mutant kind. But it's that much power, and Doom was able to channel it. And there's also a moment in Battle World where Doom basically volunteers to take over the Beyonder's power because he's the only one with the ambition and the scope to handle it, basically making him a god for a little while. And but then he gets bored and gives it up. It's not challenging enough for him. So, life wasn't challenging enough for him, and he lost his ambition. And so he gave up basically godhood because he can't live without ambition. Doom, right? Yep. Now, with Doom, not only do you have he started out a gypsy. He's a gypsy, essentially Romani, or Romani, however you want to pronounce it. But he basically goes back to Latveria after he scars his face and goes to these Tibetan monks who evidently have incredible, like hella good metalworking skills, and created his armor for him. And his armor is complicated enough that Tony Stark is impressed by it. So, as a matter of fact, he at one point, Doom becomes Iron Man. So he's the only one with the ability to make armor like well enough to fill in for Tony Stark. So we're talking about somebody with engineering, science skill, and magical skill, and can wield all of it pretty much equally. He's got the Doom bots, which are kind of like his henchmen, who are all, of course, in his image. Who else would he put them in? And so now, this next part is the part that is unique to my show, and this is the pulp versus noir. Is he pulp or is he noir? Now, pulp is kind of a supernatural character, maybe more powerful, or something really unique about them, and they have a defined, like, moral compass and a set of values that they do not ever deviate from. That's a pulp character. Now, noir is a person who's extraordinarily human, has a lot of foibles, and doesn't have a compass that guides them. They're basically willing to go with whoever they're with, or whatever the situation calls for. That's noir. Now, Doom. Is Doom pulp or noir? Okay, now this one I kind of debated for a little while. And while Doom does show some moral flexibility for the most part, Doom is pulp. Okay. Now you're like, he's a villain though. How could he have a moral compass if he's a villain? Well, moral compass doesn't necessarily mean a good moral compass. You can have a bad moral compass, but as long as you have a moral compass and a set of values that you follow, then you're pulp. You can have pulp villains, and Doom is like the very definition of a pulp villain. In that if he his rigid like set of values, if they align with the good guys, then he'll be a good guy as long as it G and Halls or goes along with his values. And in the very moment that the good pathway deviates from his villainy or his set of values, then he's villain again. But that doesn't make him wishy-washy. You know, his set of moral code, his set of values dictates everything he does. Got a comment over here. Let me see. Got a couple. Oh, it's Wookiee. Oh, never mind. Yeah. Not the same thing, Wookiee. Not the same thing. Okay. Anyway, but he has a definite moral compass. And because what that means about him is that you know what you're going to get with Doom. You know, and the only thing, I mean, Reed Richards knows exactly what Doom's going to do in any given situation, but can you stop him? Is the issue. So with Doom, it's not that he's like situational ethics. It's not that he changes with whoever he's with or that his moral compass shifts. It's that his moral compass happens to be pointed negative. He has a negative moral compass, but he has a moral compass. And he has a set of values, mostly trying to save his mother from hell. And so that's pretty much his inciting event. That's what he is at his core. And he basically he does try to be a good ruler for his people in Latveria. So people in Latveria actually, they're quite all right with Doom being their king. They are okay with Doom being their king, and that surprises people because you think, oh, he's a bad guy, he's a scary guy, he he wants to take over the world. But see, they misunderstand. It's not that he wants to take over the world for his own gain. He wants to take over the world because his strict moral code tells him that he's the only one good enough to rule it. And so because of that, you pretty much, that's going to be his main motivation, is that he wants, it's like Pinky in the Brain. He wants to take over the world. But he wants to take over the world for the good of mankind, because he sees himself as the good of mankind. Imagine if you were so arrogant and so focused that you basically believe that you are the only one that can do the job. And you believe that that essentially you're the only one worthy of it. Now, of all the portrayals of Doctor Doom, there's been several. I looked up of several of them today. There's this god-awful Josh Trank movie in 2015, and didn't impress me. Julian McMahon from what is that called? Charmed fans, Charm fame. He was Doctor Doom in the two movies in the mid 2000s, and they're not thought of very well. He was all right in it, but they just didn't quite have the power set right. They had him like make lightning powers or something like that. And Doom is, you know, I guess they didn't want to introduce magic, or so they wanted to keep it in his science pocket. So, but the one that pretty much best depicts Doom is a movie from 1994 that was made on a shoestring budget by Roger Corman, not knowing that the producer of the film was just making it so he could hold on to the rights, and so he could sell them later. But basically, this movie was never meant to see the light of day. But he didn't tell anybody, and so they all did the best they could. And if this movie had a more of a budget, and if it had a special effects like apparatus to like work on it, then I really honestly believe this was probably the definitive Fantastic Four. For sure, it's actually the best portrayal of Victor Von Doom I think we've seen on screen. The most comic accurate. Now, I'm not the only one that believes this. Chris Gore from Film Threat has said this is probably the most comic accurate Dr. Doom. He was there when they made this film. He actually visited the set. I think Gary from Nerdroticus has said this is a good portrayal of Doom. But, you know, a lot of nerds I know, a lot of purists I know, believe this is about the best portrayal we've gotten of Doom. The actor played it straight up. He didn't do wink, wink, nudge, nudge, which is probably the problem with Julian McMahon. His portrayal, it just comes across as being cutesy. And whatever that Josh Trank thing was, it was just, that dude's way over his head. He got moved up way too early, and he didn't handle it. Anyway, but let me play this clip for you.
Pitiful. You are pitiful. Half the fun is the chase. You've robbed me of even that. Ah, well. At least you've left me the pleasure of the kill. That is, of course, after I've taken from you what I want.
Colossus, right? Victor?
Victor? Ah. A name from the past. You may call me Dr. Doom. Fateful night, 10 years ago, made me what I am today. I had such a unbearable hatred for you, Lee, for turning me into this. Look at it! See it! Does it amuse you? When I heard you were to face Colossus again, I knew it would be the fitting instrument of my revenge. But just think, in what is in each of you is all in me. Well, imagine that. And a special treat for you, Mr. Grimm. After I have cleansed you of your power, you may watch my men kill the one who claims to love me just before you die. Oh, well, if you can't appreciate the irony, least I do.
Okay. That's pretty much my headcanon of Doctor Doom. And, if Roger Corman had a budget, the costumes were actually really good. For the budget they had, is incredible that they got that close. I mean, the Doctor Doom suit actually had metal plates. I mean, you can hear the fingers. I mean, that was, they found a way to make an articulated metal armor that was wearable. And that guy wore the hell out of it. And it's, this was back when comic movies were allowed to be a little hokey, and they just played it to the hilt, man. They just played it to the hilt. And it's really, really sucks that they didn't know that the movie was doomed from the start. Bad pun, I know. It's actually Doomed is the name of the documentary that I watched. But the reason why I that's my Doctor Doom headcanon is because that guy played it straight up. Doom is really that ridiculous. Doom is really that demonstrative. Doom is really up that far up his own butt. I mean, Doom thinks that he is the best foot forward for humanity. And he's not shy about telling people. Okay. Now, but what are the challenges of writing somebody that's a villain that has a pulp core like Doom? Okay. Sorry for the delay. StreamYards that want to let go every once in a while. Okay. So what are the writing challenges of having a villain that megalomaniacal, that impressed with himself, without making him so over the top and so obnoxious that he's not relatable or likable? Doom is amazingly likable. They walk this really interesting line. There are people out there that are actually Doctor Doom fans, and they cosplay it as him. They they have the the jewelry, the accoutrement, the figurines, and he's been in all the cartoons, he's been in all the games. He is just that definitive. Now, how do you do that? How do you make a character that basically tries to take over the world every chance he gets? Will kill whoever he has to, will wipe out whatever nation he has to, will inflict damage or pain on anybody he has to meet his goals. So how do you keep somebody like that likable or relatable enough that that they're not like a parody? They're not like cardboard cutout. Now, I see this all the time. Most of the time, you can tell the quality of a writer by their villains. Now, basically, villainy, when you write go to write a villain, you have to understand that this person's the hero of their own story. That's rule number one. This person, even if they acknowledge that they're the villain of this particular situation, in their head, they're rooting for themselves. They are the hero. And whatever they're trying to accomplish is for their good. And so even if they're self-centered and even if they're obsessive, what will keep that character interesting and what will keep people coming back to that character is if you make them in on it, in that even if they're villainous, they're still the hero in their own head. And if you can keep that idea, then you'll keep your villain relatable or likable. Hold on a second. Got comments over here, hopefully. Zach, you hurt them, and Doom has a lot of hurt, right? Yeah, that's a good one. Hold on a second. Doom is an evil maniac, but he has a moral self-control, whatever that's supposed to be, right? Right. He's right about that, though. Another way you can keep them likable or at least relatable is that, hold on a second, his grandiose speeches make him a lot of fun. Yeah, they really do. Like Doom has a scarred face. Now, there was another like storyline where Duke, when he took the mask off, he just had like a little scar on his cheek, but he was so arrogant that was horrific, and that's what scarred him for the world. He couldn't stand the look of it. But most people's portrayals of Doom have it like really, really burned up face, and so that hurt. That he feels like a monster that people can't stand to look at, and so he keeps the armor on all the time, and also trying to rescue his mother from hell is a big thing. He's basically a mama's boy. So he's basically at his core, he's a mama's boy. He's trying to rescue his mommy from Mephisto in hell. And when you boil it all down, he is basically a mama's boy. And that's who that's his entire focus. That's how he got, he hooked up with Reed at Empire State, whatever fictional college they were part of. But that's pretty much where the rivalry was, in that he was trying to create a way to hop between dimensions, so he could find the hell dimension and rescue his mother. And so he's basically a mama's boy. He's a scarred mama's boy with delusions of grandeur. And that combination is just gold. That with the incredible armor, the look of the armor. Now, let me see something right quick. Yep, Jack Kirby. So he in Fantastic Four #5, April 1962. Basically, that was Jack Kirby. Basically designed his armor, and so the armor, it's part of his image, okay, and the hood and the big shoulders and the circular gigantic plates right here, which is a Jack Kirby feature. You see Jack Kirby does these gigantic round plates on all of his armors. That's a Jack Kirby feature. If you see that, that's usually Jack Kirby. That and the Kirby crackle that he drew. Isn't Tony Stark supposed to be Victor Von Doom in an upcoming movie? We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that. We're not speculating. That has nothing to do with this, with what we're talking about tonight. But yeah, in the comics, Victor Von Doom became Iron Man for a little while. I'm not really sure what led up to it. I just happened to see it was happening. But I remember there was this one moment where Victor got knocked cold, and they were trying to like get into his armor, and they gave up because the first two people that tried basically got fried. It's so heavily booby trapped that they couldn't make it past the first layer, and so he's very protective of himself. He is very shut off from the world. It's like he's shut off from the world. He's feels outcast from the world, and yet he still wants to rule it. And the best characters will always have these dichotomies, these offsetting things that should not be true at the same time, but are. Every good character has that, has aspects. So you got this person who's shut off from the world, got barriers up. He lives in a fortress. He has extreme, he has this armor that protects him at all times. He never shows his face, and he's kind of isolationist over in Latveria, in that he doesn't invite the world in. And yet, this is somebody who's highly engaged in the future of the world, in that he thinks he needs to rule it. And so you got the isolationist part of him, you got the armored part of him, and then you have the engaged megalomaniacal part of him that is extremely interested in what's going on and is always like paying attention. See, that must make it hard for him to use the bathroom. I'm sure he's got ways of doing it. I'm sure. Not really the point, Wookie. It's not really the point. Okay. But anyway. So when you go to write somebody like Doom, look for ways of setting up these strange kind of like offsetting parts of them. And the fact that Doom is a pulp character who does villainous things. Pulp characters usually have a moral center. They usually have lines that they won't cross. So and Doom is the same way, but he is as a villain. Doom actually has places, the lines he won't cross. Doom actually has a sense of honor. And sorry. So Doom's kind of like Arthurian Black Knight, the Black Knight of Arthurian legend. And in most of like Marvel was based off of Prince Valiant comics. And there was a character in Prince Valiant comics called the Black Knight. And the Black Knight was this megalomaniacal character shut off from the world. And so a lot of that inspired Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. And so when they made him basically to be a knight errant on the wrong side of things. But he has still got that sense of honor. He's got that sense. He protects his people. He rules his kingdom well. And but it doesn't mean he's not going to mess with your world. It doesn't mean he's not paying attention. And so when you go to write villains, especially if you find one like him, if you write a pulp villain, then definitely that these things will be true of them. And so, i.e., that's what the writing challenge is with him. Okay. So let's close the drawer on Mr. Dr. Doom. So what we have here is we have a villain who's iconic, inspiring, and as popular as a lot of the heroes are. And the reason why is because he has a definitive look. He has lines he won't cross, and yet he's aligned with, he's a bad guy. He's a bad guy through and through. Okay. And because of that, he must be stopped. You can't reason with him because he has that rigid moral code, and you can't reason with him because he thinks he knows the right thing to do. He is the hero of his own story, and he believes that if you asked him between him and Reed Richards, who's the hero, he would say himself. He absolutely would pick himself, and that's really makes for a fascinating and extremely engaging villain. And so with Dr. Doom, you're going to have Doom fans, that are just as definitive as you'll find Wolverine fans, or Deadpool fans. And he's just that iconic. And a second. You think the portrayal of Doom in Marvel Avengers animated series is true to comics? Yes. I think they did a good job with Doom. In what is the name of that one? Avengers Earth's Greatest Heroes, I think is the name of it. They had a really good Doom in that one. If you're going to go with cartoon portrayals of Doom, there's been several games that did a good job with Doom, but to get him right, you just have to figure out. You have to get that mix right. You got to understand that he is going to have lines he won't cross, and yet he's still the bad guy. Earth's Mightiest Heroes. That's it. Earth's Mightiest Heroes. That's it. They have a very good Doom. And Doom is still going to be one of the most popular characters. I'd say in Marvel Comics, Doom is probably the preeminent and most popular villain. And there's a reason for that. He's just that interesting. He's definitely one of Jack Kirby's best creations. If you believe it, Stan Lee came up kind of like with a concept, but Jack Kirby created the iconic costume, the backstory, and everything like that. So it's Jack Kirby's baby, basically, and that's why he's King Kirby. Anyway, but thank you all for coming. No, sorry. That show was far better than it had a right to be. Yep. And they ended way too soon, and what they replaced it with sucked. So I'm not sure why they made that decision. But anyway, thank you all for coming to the show tonight. I hope I covered Doom sufficiently for you guys. Doom was inspiration for Darth Vader. I believe it. Yep. We do know that George Lucas was a big Marvel fan. Yep. So I believe it. He had a lot of the same looks, a lot of the same features. Anyway, so if you have a character for next week you'd like to see, feel free to, suggest it now. And I'll give you the next minute or two to put your, it can be from any pop culture. It doesn't necessarily have to be comics. It can be any kind of pop culture anywhere in the universe, any kind of medium or whatever. Just put them in the chat, and we'll pick one. So I'm going to give you another 1 minute to do that, and then we'll see. If I don't get any, if I don't get any suggestions, then I will choose one for next week on my own. Spawn. Okay. I'll do Spawn. Image characters aren't really my cup of tea, but I will make an exception for you, Wookie. First suggestion was Spawn, and so next week we are going to do Spawn. There we go. Have a great night, everybody. God bless. Yeah, thank you for saying that. And thank you all for coming. And the drawer is closed. And we will see you next week when we do an autopsy on Spawn. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Follow Light Rabbit. By the way, Saturday night, we are going to do a Cryptids and Conspiracies on Travis Walton's story, the Fire in the Sky story. That's coming up Saturday at 7 o'clock for Cryptids and Conspiracies. So, same cryptid time, same conspiracy channel. That'll be Saturday night. And we'll see you then. Bye, everybody.